when I was 19, after I got my first tattoo at 17. I really wanted to get a second one, so I did. I went to the same place, and the artist that I had do my first one was no longer there. So I went with the artist that they did have, whose name was Scott. And he said he saw my design, he gave me a price quote. He said, "Oh no, that's no problem. I can definitely do this." He showed me a couple pictures of his other work, and I was satisfied with that. And I said, "Yeah, it looks like he can do it." Now, he made a total and utter mess of it, and there was some problems with the appointment itself. I went in person and talked to him first about this, showing him my design, and they scheduled me in for the Monday after Easter of 2000, when was that? 2006 is when that was done. So whatever Easter Monday 2006 was, that was when they had penciled me in. Well, they called me a week later after I'd made the appointment, because I made it almost a month in advance. They said that they weren't going to be open that day, so they were going to change it for the following Friday. It's like not the Friday immediately after Easter Monday, but the next one. So it's going to be like over a week afterwards. So needless to say, they didn't give me my deposit back for some reason, because you put down a cash deposit, and then it was supposed to either be refunded to you or taken off the price of your tattoo, but they didn't do that for whatever reason. That was one thing. But the other part is that he did a horrible, horrible, horrible job. It looked very little of anything like the picture I put in. And it's not just because he transferred the stencil wrong or traced it wrong. The stencil, when he put the stencil on my arm, I approved it and it looked awesome. But then afterwards, I was just like speechless, like, this is not what I wanted. But here is a photo of what it used to look like. And the photo was taken, let's see, when did I get my camera after that? It's probably like 6 months after I had it done. This is what it looked like. So you can imagine I was not thrilled. So it was, he charged me $200 to do that. And it wasn't just the lack of skill in inking it. He was putting too much pressure on it. So it does what it's called hamburgering. It is literally what it says. It is turning your flesh to hamburger. So when your skin's hamburgered, the tattoo's not going to heal, right? So there's going to be some bleeding and smudging and stuff like that goes on. It's just not going to look right. And the scab was very, very deep. I mean, he did a horrible job. He was what they call a scratcher. It was not good. But I lived with it for quite a few years, and because of that one experience, I was terrified to get any more ink without thoroughly researching my artist. And it was a couple years after I moved down here, I found an absolute wonderful artist named Jason Roberts, and I will show you his work in a minute here. So he did another tattoo for me after we talked about it for a couple of months, that I wanted to get a tattoo. And he had came and he done it, and it was awesome, absolutely awesome. So I showed him the other one, and I said, "Can we do anything with this?" And he said, "Well, we can see about covering it up, but we'll have to really work on a design and look at it." So you draw what you want. We might have to incorporate that as part of it. So what I did is I traced my original stencil, because I design all my own tattoos and I keep all the stencils, my original artwork for them. So I traced it and then I added on to it. It was kind of be like a cover-up / distraction piece. It was going to distract from how horrible that was. And what we ended up with was, I would say this is my favorite piece. It started off pretty bad, but when we did the cover-up, awesome. So we'll see if you can see it here. Actually, I don't think that's going to work well because of the lighting. Yeah. I'll put a still picture in for you. The original, her face there, it still has some of the same shape, but it's definitely not what it had been. And we hid the halo in the tree branches. If you didn't know it was there, you'd never even know to look for it. But I just love this piece. It is my dog, Bandit, who died when I was 7. And she means the world to me. She was a huge influence on my life and what made me who I am. So of course I was going to get her tattooed. That's why I had her tattooed on me the first time, because she was like a guardian angel to me, and that's why I had her with a little halo. She was an angel. So the tattoo design that I drew is based on the death card in the tarot deck. And that's not a scary card. A lot of physics say, oh my god, it's the death card, it's horrible, it means there's death and destruction. It doesn't mean death and destruction at all. What it means is change, good change, or any change. It depends on how the card is sitting. The death card in this design is the setting sun in the background. That represents all of the past. The tree is old and decaying and dying, and the sun is setting upon that. So if you could see this better, you'd see that behind her with the sun, it's the desert. The sun is setting over a desert. But the new little tree is sprouting out of fresh green grass. There's new life. The old has died and it's going down with the setting sun, but there's new life after that death. So after the past has went behind, there's a future. Is for everything that dies, something new will be reborn. It's like everything that's horrible has happened to you is in the past. The sun is setting on that. But there are new opportunities and new life ahead. It's coming up. And she is the facilitator. The experience that I had with knowing her and experiencing her life and experiencing her death has molded everything about me. Some people think that's a little weird, but it has definitely had a huge impact on me and has made me such an animal lover, such a, not activist, but you know what I'm saying, is like a champion for animals, is like treating them right and educating people, and especially for the canines. It's like I talk about wolf behavior, about coyote behavior. People think they're demons and they're not. But that's a completely other topic, far away from tattoos, and you guys know that I get off topic and ramble too much. So anyway, there's other meanings within this tarot card design for me. So the first one is the setting sun. One of the names that my parents wanted to call me was Sunset. They call it my Indian name. But of course, the doctors would not let them name their child Sunset, so I ended up with the name that I have. The legal name, which is not the name that I've chosen for myself and use for myself. I do not utter the birth name. So that's the name I like. I like what they would have named me if they had been allowed. Sunset. So there's the sunset. Both of the trees that are depicted in this are rowan trees. And the rowan tree is my favorite tree. It's always been my favorite tree. I've always looked at a rowan tree and said that tree is so beautiful. And I've just been very drawn to the rowan. Now, there's a lot of magic behind a rowan tree. And it's a protection tree. Within each berry there is a pentacle. There's a 5-pointed pentagram star, and then the rest of the berry goes around in a circle. So you have your protection symbol inside each berry. Highly protective tree. Another thing about the rowan is I was looking on a website a long time ago where it had birth trees for each. It's almost like a tree zodiac, and my birth month tree was a rowan tree, and I was just excited when I learned that. It's like, this is so perfect because I like astrology and all those silly little things. I think they're fun. So the rowan tree is a protective tree. It's my favorite tree, and it also happens to be my birth tree. So of course I'd have a rowan tattooed on me. And also the death card in the tarot deck is card number 13, which is the mirror of my day of birth, which is the 31st. So 13 reversed to 31st, back and forth. And it's like, I've always found 13 to be a pretty cool number. It's like Friday the 13th, everybody's running around all scared of bad luck. I think it's a great day. The most fun I've had has usually been on a Friday the 13th. It's like, I think it's a great day. So eventually I will add on to this with the 13 theme, and I will have 13 crows flying around through here, because I'm going to put Mortimer on my right shoulder someday. So I figure it'd be a nice transition to have the crows flying up and then have the portrait of the crow. So I don't think there's much else to explain. It's really hard to see this unless I'm like way over here in the shadows. So you saw the more close-up photos of it. It's still relatively really fresh in ink because, as I said, it's like I stay out of the sun, I use sunscreen, and I usually cover up when I can because I like to stay pretty pale, just because I'm pretty splotchy and my skin doesn't tan evenly, and that's a whole other story. But yeah, it's like, that is tattoo number 2, and this was the last piece that I had done by Jason, because unfortunately, well, fortunate for him, because he moved and he's gone off and did some really cool stuff, and he's one kick-ass artist now. Like, he was really good when he did mine, but the stuff he's doing now is just beyond. It's like he's on the other side of the country now, and it's so unfortunate for me because he is way out there and he's my favorite tattoo artist, and I don't know if I ever will have anything done by him again because he's so far away. But he has family down here, so he does travel back and forth. But when he comes down, it's like everybody's jumping on him, saying, "Oh, bud, you gotta do me a tattoo," and he does. And it's like, I don't want to bother him. It's like, I know that it's like, he comes down when he's on vacation, and it's like, he's coming here to visit with his family, and it's like, I don't want to bother him and getting him to do his job while he's on vacation. But anyway, that's my death card, and it's my favorite. I love it.